Hey guys, this is a topic you asked us to discuss. In my opinion, who are the top 5 arm wrestlers of all time? This is a crazy hard list to come up with because there's some amazing arm wrestlers just during my career. Before we get into all that, like and subscribe to our channel and click the little bell for notifications. How I came up with this list is dominance. Who was dominant throughout their career? In my opinion, the guy coming in 5th place of the top 5 arm wrestlers of all time is Dave Patton. Dave Patton is a legend.
So Fisher is trying to slip out. You can see him releasing his hand. Now he regrips. It's too late. Patton wins.
Amazing posting style top rope. But he had a good hook. He was so versatile. He could arm wrestle anywhere. But watching that guy set up, post up, bust through somebody's hand, crazy impressive arm wrestler. That guy, probably most of his career, weighed anywhere between 154, 165 pounds, and he would regularly go to tournaments and enter his weight class and every class above him and would win them all. I even heard a story that one time, I can't remember who the heavyweight guy was, but he won every weight class with JohnBrzenk even being in John's weight class. He won his weight class, John's class, the next class, the heavyweight class. The guy would win everything. So I don't even know if he may have a winning record against John. I'm not sure. But all I know is Dave Patton was an animal. Coming in 4th place, in my opinion, is Gary Goodrich. Gary Goodrich was an amazing arm wrestler before his mixed martial arts career. Predominantly in hooker for the beginning part of his career. And then when he got that top row, one of the crazy, I think it might have been the 1994 Yukon Jacks, where he loses to Cleve. Cleve wins, but he's the one that puts John out of the event. He went from being a guy who was just a power inside hook, drag hook puller, great shoulder press inside too, so for some of the old AWI days, to someone who had an amazing top row. And he didn't have a big hand, but he had so much back pressure. As far as I know, he's the only guy who consistently beat JohnBrzenk during JohnBrzenk's reign in the late 80s and early 90s. The 3rd best of all time, which this guy I probably respect more than any arm wrestler ever, and he'll always be a legend, and I miss him dearly, is Pushkar. Pushkar, in my entire arm wrestling career, was the strongest arm wrestler I ever pulled. 2017 version at the Vendetta in Poland at Zloty Tour World Cup. One of the strongest hands ever in the sport and hardest hitting super heavyweight. I mean, obviously back in the day, Richard Lupkes had a crazy hard side pressure hit. I even believe that when Richard pulled Andre, and obviously Richard was in his comeback, and this was 2015. But I think Richard even said that's the strongest guy he's ever arm wrestled.
First match, I tried to load up with Andre, and I have never felt something like that. I mean, the man is so incredibly strong, it was a little bit scary.
Pushkar, hard side pressure, crazy strong hand. Just very few people in the world could stop that guy's side pressure hit. I don't know the stats, but it's like he won EAF and WAF every year for like a decade or something. It was insane the amount of WAF and EAF titles that guy had. So dominance wise, that dude won the WAF super heavyweight world title. Has to be more than anyone's ever done it. Not to mention he was just a hell of a guy. But of all time, Pushkar has to go down as one of the greatest. Coming in 2nd place, Cleve Dean.
Here we go. Very important match, ladies and gentlemen.
Such a huge hand, predominantly outside puller, would occasionally get into a hook, but that wasn't his sweet spot. Obviously, using that massive, massive hand and peeling through someone. And it wasn't even that he did a traditional top row. He would just come through the hand and put his body behind it, right? Very impressive. very hard to overcome. I've told so many stories about Cleve Dean, hell, I don't even know if they're true. But one of the funny ones was, this was coming from Dave Randall. Dave woke up in the middle of the night and saw a light on in the kitchen. And he walks into the kitchen and he sees Cleve Dean sitting in front of the refrigerator with the refrigerator door open. And he's like, Cleve, what are you doing? He's like, I'm cold. So he had the refrigerator door open and he's sitting there drinking a 2-liter. And if you let Dave Randall tell the story, the 2-liter looked like a 16-ounce bottle in his hand. And he was eating slices of cheese like they were crackers. Cleve Dean was massive. I think at his biggest, he was, 6'9", 750 pounds, wore a 9X shirt. The palm of his hand would cover my face and his fingers would wrap around your head. Maybe I had a smaller head back then, but the dude was massive. One of my stories was 1995 Yukon Jacks in Daytona Beach. We're on the 17th floor of the Whitehall Hotel. All of us arm wrestlers have an arm wrestling table when they're after the tournament. We're just banging, right? It gets hot. There must have been 20 dudes in that room. I walk out on the balcony. I look down 17 floors and I see Cleve laid out on the grass. Because as big as he was, he had to take breaks, right? He had to take rest. That dude is laid out on the grass. He took up the same amount of space as a compact car. He was enormous. That guy was truly a legend. And what he did in the sport, whether it was just because of his sheer size or mass or whatever, he was totally the man to beat. But still, you can't take away from Cleve Dean's dominance. It had to have been, 5-10 year span of him beating everybody. Obviously, the best arm wrestler who's ever lived. And I don't think anybody can question this because he had a dominance of 25 plus years. Hell, he's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the greatest arm wrestler of all time, is the one and only JohnBrzenk. JohnBrzenk could arm wrestle from every position. He could arm wrestle in losing positions. He could arm wrestle a hook, top row, shoulder press. He could smoothly transition between all of them. So that's another thing that makes him the greatest. His ability to find a hole, find a way, the easiest route, easiest path to victory when he was facing an opponent. And the thing is, for me, I liked seeing someone that was so far better than everybody else. I liked watching who's going for second place. I liked watching John go to Pro-Am Nationals and win 7 national titles in one day because he'd win 98 right and left, 242 supers, 199 up left, overall right and left. And he didn't even, the titles didn't mean anything to him. John was just like, the more classes I can enter, the more money I can make, right? There wasn't a whole lot of super matches or challenge matches in his early career. But John could, in a double elimination tournament, even if he lost one round, he could come back and try something different the next round. And beating JohnBrzenk once was a hell of an accomplishment. Beating him twice, very few people ever accomplished that. Now that's my top 5 list. Yours might be different. And there's honorable mentions, my God. Scott Norton, Richard Lupkes, Ingen Terzi, Cobra Rhodes. There's too many to mention. We've had legends in this sport who have done amazing, amazing things. Where do you go after top 5? You just keep listing greats. And there's tons of people that even from the honorable mention standpoint that I haven't mentioned. Devin Larratt. He's going to have to be among the greatest of all time. If he's not now, he will be. It's a great sport, man. I love watching other arm wrestlers be successful. I love seeing my name mentioned among those greats. I love getting victories over those guys. Hard task to be one of the top 5 arm wrestlers of all time. That's a hell of a list to try to break into.